Hey guys, Robin here with week 2 of trying to get a job at a AAA game dev studio. I'm doing the 0 to AAA challenge where I go from an absolute noob game developer to getting a job at a AAA studio in 1 year. Will it happen? Let's see. This week we studied two things. We studied C++ and Unreal Engine. I worked a lot in both of these skills this week. I made a lot of progress, even though I had a lot of trouble. So today I'm going to be going over everything that I learned on the C++ side, as well as everything that I learned and built in Unreal Engine 5. So follow along and I'll show you everything that I did. So this week, like I said, was a lot of C++. I was learning a lot of good material, a lot of it coming from the learnc++.com website. I'll be sure to check it out and put it down in the description for you guys below. Here you can see I'm working on one of the examples that they have that's at the end of every section. This week I was really in a good flow state, and that's exactly why I stuck with it for the whole week. Didn't get much math done this week, but that's okay. I'll pick it up next week or the week after. I'm not in too big of a rush with the math, and I kind of want to get my C++ and Unreal skills down. This week I learned a lot about namespaces, function calling, header files, and header guards. Yeah, it's a lot to cover there. What I really liked about this week was the course showed me how you can predefine functions in other C++ files and then share them all over the place. Then it continued to show me why we use header files and how they kind of solve the issue of having to predefine functions in every file and make it a lot easier. That's really how they do it in Unreal Engine, is you use header files for every C++ file, and then if you have to share the functions, you know, if you have like a shoot function that, you know, shoots a gun and you need it in a few separate files, you just share that header file. Something else that I found really useful is that at the end of each chapter, you get a quiz, as you can see right up here. Here, they just challenge you to prove that you can do everything that the chapter just went over locally or on your own editor. This is perfect for me because sometimes the material goes in one ear and out the other. I'm sure you guys can relate. So I had a bunch of opportunities to whip the text editor out and do everything we just learned. Side note here, I don't really like Visual Studio as a text editor. I just don't. I ran into some issues just adding files to the project, which got me stuck for like 20 minutes. Feels clunky, not really user-friendly. Coming from JavaScript and VS Code, Visual Studio was pretty overwhelming and didn't feel right. I don't know another way to put it, really. I did some digging on text editors and even tried setting up C++ and VS Code, but couldn't get it right. Couldn't get things to compile. It would compile sometimes, but couldn't take any inputs or outputs, and it was just not really working out. I read that VS Code is not really great for C++, so I also looked at Vim and CLion. They're just two other editor options. I wanted something lightweight but easy to use, and I heard Vim was super popular and super lightweight, but the ease of use is not really the best. It's actually, I couldn't even launch it. I downloaded it, I tried to open it up, it didn't work for me. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't want to spend 2 hours watching videos on a text editor of how to launch it, and so I just passed. The next one was CLion, which worked really well. I just downloaded it and it launched, and it has a super clean UI. And I even did a few programs in it, very simple programs, but I did a few programs in it just to make sure that it did everything that I expected it to do, like Visual Studio, and it did. So I went ahead and I'm paying the monthly fee on CLion. Yes, you have to pay for it. It's $10 a month. But so far, I'm really liking it. It's not what you see here in the video, but in upcoming videos, you'll see me using CLion instead. I think that if I'm going to be working in an editor often, then might as well invest in a good one. Moving on, we're going straight into Unreal. We got a lot done in Unreal this week. We started from an empty map and started creating the sky. This was kind of complicated for me, but really cool to see how all the sky features come together to to create a realistic sky. We added suns to our level and changed the strength of the light coming from them and their rotation around the, this world that I was creating to create really cool colors of light. So you could do like a green sun that emits like a green light over your world, or a purple sun. And then when you change your rotation, it does a bunch of cool other things. And then when you add a second sun into the environment, you get a really wide range of possibilities. And making it happen all in real time with Unreal was actually unreal. It felt awesome to do it. I also started working on creating the landscape for the map of the game we're building in this tutorial. This was actually awesome. I had no idea there was even a landscape tool in Unreal Engine where I can easily build mountains and hills and all sorts of things. Also, you can make such a large area, which can be like a huge MMO map or something. I think that it's like huge. I don't even know how to describe it, but later in the video, you'll see when I zoom out how big it is. It was really cool, really awesome, but the only issue that I had was that my computer wasn't good enough to run it smoothly, so I had to work pretty slowly. Things were lagging, freezing, I had to reset a few times, but in the end, I got the map made. It's not beautiful or anything like that, but I'll definitely work on it more in the future. I just created some surrounding mountains and hills around the map, just playing with the different elevation types, brush sizes, and strengths, just trying to familiarize myself with the tools. Like I said, it didn't look good, and even when you played it and you stood there, what I thought was a hill was more like a mound, and what I thought was a mountain was actually way too big. I'm not really an artistic guy, but it was a lot easier than I expected. After we sculpted some basic looking landscape, we moved into Quixel Bridge, and oh my god, if you don't know what that is, you are missing out on simple world creation. Quixel Bridge is free and it's built into Unreal Engine 5. It has like 1,000 high quality assets that you can just download and they just go straight into your project. We're talking trees, rocks, bushes, buildings, parts of buildings, assets, lamps, chairs, like anything you need to build your environment. They have a really good quality one there in Quixel Bridge. And it's completely built into Unreal Engine 5. No separate accounts or anything like that. So I got a bunch of different textures to be able to put all over the landscape. And what we did was we hooked up these textures to this material node, which you'll see here in what they call blueprints in Unreal. And we created this awesome looking texture that when you go back to the landscape mode and you go into their paint feature, you literally can just paint this texture all over your landscape, and you can create sand, grass, a forest ground, or snow, whatever you really want. It was really, really cool working with these tools. Even though I'm not a professional, I got something looking kind of like what a world would look like in a video game, and it felt good. You know, with programming, you don't always see what you're building until, you know, it either compiles or you stick it in your game and then it works. But with Unreal Engine, when you're building the maps, it's like you're building it in real time. You want a hill, boop, you just pop it up. You don't want a hill, you just take it away. So being as excited as I was, I did what any new game developer would do. I made a quick clip of my landscape and I posted it onto my Twitter, which is I am Unreal Robin. I got a lot of really good feedback about it. And so I was really, really happy. From there, I just made a few adjustments to the map, made sure that it looked okay so that I can continue on with the tutorial. And I got it to a place where I liked it, but I think I'll maybe make the map smaller and put a little bit more time into it if I'm going to be using this map a lot in the future. All in all, working in Unreal this week was really, really awesome. I got to make something that I thought was cool and I didn't even know existed. So that about sums up week 2 of my study. A lot of C++ and a lot of Unreal Engine as expected, as was planned for. If you want to know how I planned all of my studying, you can go back to my research and planning video and see how I found all the skills that I'll need to learn over this next year. Next week, we'll be doing another study video covering next week's study sessions. If you want these to be longer form or even shorter, let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks guys, see you next week.